few verses for you to read together. Title of the message today is Doublespeak, Man's Final Artificial Kingdom, Part 3. If you can see this, let's read together. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth. And they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. You may be seated. Holy God, do bless us today to understand how to apply this to our generation and what you have to teach us. We thank you for the Bible that you preserved. We thank you for the Holy Spirit. We thank you, God, for the salvation by the blood of Jesus through faith alone. Now help us live for you and understand and discern the times. In Jesus' name, amen. So in this series, we've been looking at the characteristics of the final kingdom of rebellious man, 666. Now technically there will be at the end of the millennium one more rebellious kingdom. But it's short-lived, and we don't have a lot of information about it. But then again, this final kingdom of man that I'm speaking of throughout this series, it'll be short-lived. But since it occurs in our age, it's the final kingdom of man in a specific sense to us, and it's on the horizon. Now, I've called it man's final artificial kingdom. And this is because it's led by Satan, who comes to steal and to kill and to destroy. And Satan perverts whatever God has made, whatever God has ordained. He makes it artificial. He corrupts it. We began where the foundation of man's artificial kingdom began, when the serpent deceived Eve with fake food. Last time we dealt with fake beauty. See, artificial food is poison food. Artificial beauty is really ugliness. Now, how do you convince people that ugly is beautiful? How do you convince them that poison is healthy? Well, that leads to part 3 today, which is doublespeak. Using language to seduce people into an alternate reality, an artificial reality. We call this fake language doublespeak. Now, as mankind rearranges everything without any boundaries, God has given man some liberty to put things together, to mix things in appropriate ways, but there are boundaries. And man, in his pride, crosses these boundaries. And he thinks he's a god. Wow, my GMO food. Wow, look at all of our pesticides. Wow, look at all these things we have and how wonderful it is. And then he gives himself cancer. He wows himself, only to find out that he's brought more curses, destruction, and misery upon himself and upon his children and upon future generations. There's some of this stuff they've created. They said, we don't have a curse anymore. We don't have to work. We don't got to sweat. We don't have to pray. Why? We have poison. We can just put it over everything. It'll kill all our bugs. Then he kills the bees. He kills everything. He just corrupts the whole system. And some of this stuff doesn't disappear forever. Generations, generations. It's there. So it was God's mercy at the Tower of Babel that hindered man that restrained man. And God said, if we don't restrain them, nothing will be impossible. It doesn't mean there'll be a God. It means these morons will destroy everything. That's God's mercy. To hide pride from man. To restrain man before he destroys himself. And of course that's the devil's goal. The devil's not deceived. Don't you think the devil's out here? This is something you got to get straight. The Bible says in the book of Revelation that Satan knows his time is short. Why is he doing all of this? Same reason somebody tears up a house that they got kicked out of when they couldn't pay their bills. It's revenge. It's hatred for God. Those devils that were at the time of the Messiah, they said, have you come to torment us before our time? They know they don't win. This is all about you. It's all about poisoning you, destroying you. It's Satan's revenge on God to corrupt God's children, to corrupt God's creation. Just one last mockery of God before he goes to hell. So how did God hinder man from following Satan, crossing boundaries, and destroying everything? He scattered mankind all over the earth. He put boundaries, made it hard for them to come together. He confounded their language so they could not associate without a hindrance. Why did God do it? Again, because of his love. A lot of times you get hindered to keep you from pride. A lot of times you get hindered before you hurt yourself. Now God, he's not always going to intervene, but oftentimes he does. I want you to notice Acts 17. And hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth. That's his goal. But what did they do? Instead of scattering all over the earth, they began to congregate in one place. And he hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. Now why did God do this? That they should seek the Lord. By confounding language, by keeping people from coming together and forming a one world government. God did that so man will not be immediately led by Satan, and man will feel after God, search after God, and could find the Lord. Notice the unity of all people according to the Bible. We all came from Adam, one blood. All nations. And I want you to notice the things that the Lord did for the purpose of hindering the rebellious one world government. Until the time when the Prince of Peace comes and gathers all nations together. But until the Lord Jesus, the Prince of Peace, the Messiah, comes bodily to this earth to reign on the throne of David, there will be no peace to the wicked. Even the division of the land, the dividing by mountains, seas, deserts, was for this purpose. It was not meant to hurt mankind, but to help mankind, that they should seek the Lord. Not only was there a scattering to avoid this one world government under Satan, but there were boundaries. There were boundaries. One of the boundaries was trying to be crossed at the Tower of Babel. It's the same boundary that was originally crossed by Lucifer. He attempted it when he says, I will mount up to heaven, not content with reigning on earth and covering on the earth. He wanted to go up there, be like God. Psalms 115 says, the heaven, even the heavens are the Lord's. But the earth hath he given to the children of man. Not to do whatever he wants with it, but that's the boundary. That's one boundary. Years ago, in the 90s, it wasn't my choice, but the choice of some relatives I was with. They wanted to go to Disney's Epcot Center. And I was reading all kinds of books against the New Age and when the world will be as one, and all of these books describing what's happening. And I tell you what, going to Disney's Epcot Center was scary. Because they pretty much, everything's automated, and you got all these giant screens, and they're pretty much telling you, we are going to populate outer space. All nations, from China to Russia, we're all coming together, and this is our dream. This is our goal. And if we come together and be as one, we will populate the heavens. I said, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. Isaiah 14, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land. These are the Babylonians inspired by Satan, nor fill the face of the world with cities. You say, God doesn't like a city? He doesn't like rebellious cities. He doesn't like cities run in a corrupt way where everybody's on top of one another and it's all polluted and full of crime. And God does not want the world filled with Babylon's wicked, rebellious, sodomite cities. Now, none of this is to imply or teach that it's wrong to learn other languages or marry outside of your race or ethnicity. But it is to show you, and you better not close your eyes to it, that there is a public school agenda. There is a Hollywood agenda. There is it's bigger than all of those. It's the satanic agenda through the rich men of the world, many of them, through the powers that be. There is a satanic cultural agenda to control everybody in a one world government under one man, the coming Antichrist, that they think is this wonderful world leader that's going to bring peace, that will bring all religions together. The previous popes, boy, they kept trying to be it. I tell you what, John Paul II, he said, Mary's going to show me a sign. Oh, I was born, and when I was born, there was an eclipse around me. Oh, I tell you what, he wanted to be the Antichrist. He said, I tell you what, we're going to gather all religions together. And he sat out there with snake worshipers and all these voodoo people, and he says, to the God of us all. They put it on the front of Time magazine, you know. But eventually one man will help bring this thing together. And you'll have a world church and a world government. And I want you to right now recognize the spirit of Antichrist. It is a cultural agenda. They're not trying to just give you liberty. They're wanting you to come together without barriers, without boundaries, so they can manipulate you and control you. That's why they don't want you in rural areas. See, they want you boxed into the cities that they're controlling. They don't want you self-reliant. They don't want you able to feed yourself. Genesis 11 again, therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. You know what I see here? I see a double reference. In those early days, God did confound the language. He divided the tongues. In fact, if you study this thing out, you will see roots, similarities. They're not coincidental. If you want to read a good book about this, read English Derived from the Hebrew by Robert Govet in the 1800s. He has a lot of wonderful books about accountability, the coming kingdom, wonderful Revelation commentary. Spurgeon says his books in the last days will be like treasured gold. But he wrote a book called English Derived from the Hebrew, and it's It's amazing when you see, for example, the Hebrew word for a big, fat, large animal, elephanto or something like that. And then you look at our elephant, he just really traces down these things. Of course this is all. We all come from one man, Adam. And we all come from the Tower of Babel, descended down through the nations when God confounded. But there used to be one language. And God confounded the languages, diversified them because he had to. Because man was so rebellious. But what I see, remember Romans 1. I think in the last days, as this kingdom of Babel begins to expand over all the world in spirit, I believe the Lord is going to confound the language again. Not by dividing it this time, but by turning over men to a reprobate mind, where they can't even communicate anymore. Here goes man again, once again, trying to build his wonderful artificial kingdom in rebellion to God, not respecting the boundaries that God has given. So God says, I'll just turn you over. I'll confound you again. God says he'll do it. What you're witnessing right now is the confounding of language. Man's doing it to himself, but God is, you don't want me in your schools, you don't want me in your home. So when God backs away, the people get turned over to their foolishness, and they lose the ability to think. They lose the ability to talk, to communicate in an intelligent manner, intelligible manner. Notice what it says here, Isaiah 29. Stay yourselves in wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken. God's looking at the last days. He's looking at your generation. They are drunken, but not with wine. It doesn't mean that they're not drugged out on all kinds of things, from psychological drugs to street drugs or whatever they find in the woods, alcohol. But God's saying really what's happening is ultimately they're not drunk with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep and hath closed your eyes. You didn't want to seek after God? God will take the light away from you. You don't want to think with the brain and the mind God gave you? God will close it. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it's sealed. You ever given the King James Bible in this generation to somebody that supposedly knows how to read? They got at least a 5th grade education. Some of them say they went to college. Well, I don't think they're going to be able to read after going to college. But my point is this. Supposedly, they're learned, educated men. And they say, oh, nobody can understand that. That's just, nobody can understand that book. I can't understand it. That's really sad, isn't it? That's really sad. So there's a boy with headphones or goggles or whatever, and he's playing around with his little video games and all the other things, and you give him the book and say, you ought to read this King James Bible. It's delivered unto him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. But he says, I can't read this. I'm not learned. I don't understand these words. I can't even read the newspaper. What happened to this generation? You can hand them a book from 50 years ago. I've done it. A little teeny book from 50 years ago. And they'll look at it and they'll say, I can't understand this. It's not in pictures. It's not in gibberish. Boy, you go back to the 1930s or something, they don't understand anything. Give them simple stuff from the 1930s. They can't read it. That's how far gone. I mean, the mind has been just wiped, scrubbed. So the Lord says, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people. Even a marvelous work. And a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. That's the marvelous work. He said, you want to see a lot of men that are supposed to be smart? A lot of men that are supposed to be wise? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to make them all fools. In one generation, he just wiped it. I mean, everything just went to hell. God says, it's marvelous. You see what I did? They didn't want God in their knowledge. They didn't want to retain God in their knowledge. They wanted to get rid of me. Look what happened to their ability to reason. Look what happened to their ability to communicate. This is why you'll see policemen and college professors and doctors, and you ever record them when they don't know they're being recorded, you would not believe what comes out of their mouth. That they sound like a bunch of teenage gangsters, you know, a bunch of street thugs that never learn how to speak. It's like, man, you're supposed to be a professional. This is how you talk? Well, that's what they're full of. They're full of Hollywood. The understanding of the prudent men shall be hid. Now watch this. He goes on to say, surely your turning of things upside down, because that's really what they did, shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, for shall the work say of him that made it, he hath made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? So you got man running around saying, oh no, our generation's going to fix everything. Well, we're going to take things under our own hands, and we're going to make our own artificial food and our artificial science and our artificial godliness and our artificial reason, and we're just going to have the world that we want to create because we're gods. So they turn everything upside down and pervert it. Man becomes a woman, woman becomes man, good becomes evil, evil becomes good, ugly becomes beautiful, beautiful becomes ugly. And they're not done. That make a man an offender for a word. And they lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. You're not allowed to expose the insanity of all of this. You're not allowed to expose their artificial reality, their artificial kingdom. You're not allowed to do it. You'll get in trouble. They will throw you in jail or kill you. They make a man an offender for just a word. Why? This is the point. I want you to see, people, it becomes illegal to say certain words. You are considered an offender. You must now be blacklisted, jailed, fined, sued. This isn't talking about slander. You said the wrong word on the college campus. You said the wrong word at work. We're not even talking about nasty words. It goes beyond just being mean. We're talking about you exposed, dared to expose their fake reality. And by doing so, they must control the language. If you just sit back and say, I'm sorry, hey everybody, employees, boss, corporation, listen, this person next to me, that's not a female, that's a male. You're now an offender. You said the wrong word. Now, I'm saying not only do you have to go get reprimanded, if not fired, but man, they might bring in people with spacesuits and carry you away, man. What did I do? What did I do? You dared to confront. You dared to confront this fake reality. Wow. Jeremiah 51 says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Everybody's crazy. Everybody's going crazy. They can't think. They can't read. They can't communicate. They're drunk. Not only on some kind of drug, but they're just drunk on the fact that God's turned them over to a reprobate mind. You see it in their language. You see it in their words. Hosea 9 says the spiritual man is mad. The man that you would expect to understand things. The man you would expect to not be carnal and understand truth. He's lost his mind. Certainly not everybody, thank the Lord, but it's so bad now that somebody says, oh, they're a pastor. Well, you got to watch out. They're probably crazy. For the multitude of thine iniquity and the great hatred. There's a holy hatred, but I'm going to tell you something. Hatred based on pride will make you insane. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how spiritual you think you are. You get your pride hurt, and you'll become mad with this thing. I don't mean angry. I want you to notice that much of the language today, due to video games, texting, it's robbed people of normal communication skills. And the Christians are right there among them, losing their ability to communicate. You could sit down and read something to this generation and say, do you understand the few words that I just said? They said, oh, what did you say? I said, I just said it, man, just a second ago. Let me read it again. And you give them a few words and say, now what just happened in this story? What just happened? What did I just say? I was like, I don't know, my mind, it flickered again, it blinked again. I don't know. I can't remember something from 5 seconds ago. Just yesterday, and it happens every day. You try to talk to a young person with blue hair or green hair, and they might be 15 years old. And you just ask them a simple question. And they get really scared, like, oh no, what just happened? You asked me a question. And they're like, I don't know. I can't answer that. How close am I to whatever city? They get scared. They become mute. Not because of a physical defect. Something is wrong with them. One thing that's wrong with them is video games and texting has robbed them of normal social skills, normal communication. If they go to a restaurant, one person's looking at their phone with their little thumbs, going like this. The other person's looking at theirs, and you got crazy music that nobody can think to. That's their world. Every day, second after second, minute after minute. That's what they do in the middle of the night. That's what they do all day. This is how they communicate. There's no deep thought. There's nothing they have to pay attention to. And you do this every single day when your brain is supposed to be developing all the way up into your 20s. And you rob your brain from development. And you rob your spirit from development. You walk around mumbling with gibberish. Unable to read a letter, unable to write a letter. Unable to carry on a conversation. This world has become mad upon their idols. This world has lost its ability to speak and communicate. They have become like the caveman fools that Job mentions, that had to be driven from men because they're children of fools. Everything is gibberish. Tongues. You got the charismatics calling themselves spiritual and saying it's the Holy Spirit when they speak in a language that's not a language and sit there and just do their gibberish. God help us. That's demonic. But you've got the ordinary teenager speaking in tongues. Gibberish. It's not languages, it's gibberish. I decided when I got serious about the Lord, I'd been reading all my life. But boy, when I got serious at age 23, I said, I'm going to go back before evolution. I'm going to go back before television. And really, I had this as almost a religious ritual. I said, no, I'm not reading anything before evolution, before public school. I mean, after evolution, after public school, after Hollywood, after TV. No, I'm not reading anything. And so what I did was I just sat down and read anything I possibly could read, especially Christian material, but sometimes history, anything that I could read before the television was invented. And it blessed me. It blessed me every day of my life. That's what I did. I couldn't wait. I used to want to do nothing but play the guitar. Now I couldn't wait to find a library and sit down and come back with a bunch of books and just sit there and read. At first it was difficult. At first you don't understand the language. But then after a while you start understanding words and you start understanding. And then I could understand not just early 20th century, but I could read a 19th century book like it was as normal as could be. And then I went to the 18th century. And then I went on down. And it's one of the most important things you can do. Of course, the greatest education you could ever have is to read and write and study the King James Bible. It is an education. It is the greatest book that's ever been written among man. Some have already done it, but why don't you just go to the Civil War time period? Read a soldier that's 16 years old or 17 years old as he's writing back home to mama, and read. I tell you what, it'll make you cry. It'll make your hair stand up. This was an uneducated boy. And you're telling me he could read it? He's just writing a letter to his mom in the middle of war? And it's eloquent, it's full of language, see how they talk to one another. You wouldn't believe the education these people had when they were uneducated. It shows how far we have devolved and degenerated. Orwell wrote a book, 1984, about what he thought the last days would be when this one world government takes over everything. And some of these people that are controlling the one world government and deceived by it, here is what they say. It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words. That's what they believe right now. We've got to get rid of history. We've got to get rid of literature. We've got to get rid of the very words. They think it's beautiful. No, it's horrible. It's horrible. They say in the final version of Newspeak, there'll be nothing else. In the end, the whole notion of goodness and badness will be covered by only 6 words. But in reality, only 1 word. So good is evil, evil is good. Don't you see the beauty of that, Winston? We just walk around with 1-word sentences. That's how people communicate in their home. They don't sit down and have dinner together and have a talk and how is your day? What do you have to praise God for? What does the Bible say? What do you think about this? Have you heard of this news from a spiritual perspective? They don't talk. They don't communicate. It's grunt. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That's what they do. Hey, so-and-so, come to dinner. Well, they don't even tell them to come to dinner. They just throw them something like they're an animal. You know, here's some chips. Here's whatever. Okay, yeah, I'm on my, leave me alone. I'm on my computer. I'm on my phone. Just don't mess with me. They walk around depressed and irritable and grunting, and they can't talk anymore. They certainly can't read a book because the little letters don't wiggle around and do anything exciting, see, which is very boring. They got to see something blow up. Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? Of course, that's why they're corrupting our language. In the end, we shall make thought crime literally impossible because there will be no words in which to express it. The taking away of your words is to take away your ability to reason. I've actually seen young people not even know of a concept because they didn't know of the word. And when you show them the Word, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, that gives me a lot more wisdom now because I realize this exists. When you take away the words, you often take away the ability to think. Of course you do. One more. By 2050, now this was written long before 1984. The idea was to show what 1984 would be like. And he wasn't too far off. But in this book, these bad people say by 2050 or earlier, yeah, the time we're living right now, probably all real knowledge of old speak will have disappeared. That's why you can't pick up a book and read it anymore. The whole literature of the past will have been destroyed. In fact, there will be no thought as we understand it now. This has been accomplished in many ways. But there's more than just losing words. The goal is actually to use language to deceive and control people. To fabricate a reality, as we said. Different from what is true. Rob the people of the skill and reason to even their language to discern that you are in a fake reality. So we call it doublespeak. That's what it's been called. It's using language to say the opposite of what is true by renaming. Let me show you where doublespeak began. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So what Satan did, what God said would be death, Satan said it'll be your path to godhood. What happens when something that is evil and destructive and poisonous and harmful is painted as beautiful? 1960s. They said it's beautiful. Take LSD. Take drugs. Oh, why would I want to mess my mind up? Oh, no, be experienced. It's beautiful. And then the leaders, just about every one of them, died by the time they got 30 years old on an overdose. The devil takes that which is evil and calls it good. That which is destructive and calls it healthy. That's doublespeak. The Antichrist will be an expert of convincing you of a fabricated artificial reality as he defies God. It says that through his policy, this man's still to come, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. You know why? Because his peace is not really peace. When a communist takes over a land, they say, I'm going to give you liberty. What they're really giving you is chains and destruction and death. Oh, we're going to make you're the underdog class. Help us destroy the nation, and then we will remake it so you'll be rich and you'll be on top. By peace shall he destroy many. What it means is by the promise of peace, people destroy everything. It's happened in the 60s. It just keeps happening. Well, we have something called the Bill of Rights. If you don't want children abused, we got to get rid of this Bill of Rights and due process. You got to create a whole new government contrary to the Constitution. You got to have a whole realm of family law outside of criminal law. And kids will no longer be abused. We'll take them away from parents, give them to foster parents, and there'll be no abuse. How did it work out for you? How did it work out? Parents had their children taken without due process, given to foster parents, such as homosexuals, sodomites. And more abuse takes place. I'm not saying there's not children abused by their biological parents, but I'm telling you right now that more abuse occurred in foster care. Why did you get rid of due process? That was to safeguard that. Well, by peace he shall destroy many. All you got to do is just destroy everything. Tear down everything for us. And it'll be beautiful. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. That's the Lord Jesus Christ. He defies the Lord. But he shall be broken without hand. That means no man will destroy him except the man, the Lord Jesus Christ. That means the Antichrist will make it all the way to the end till the Lord deals with him when he comes out of the sky. So doublespeak manipulates reality. It calls things the opposite of what they really are. It's the language not of faith, but of insanity. Isaiah 5, woe unto them. Woe, that means it's bad. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Just because you rename something doesn't make it healthy. Just because you have something that's artificial and fake and unhealthy and you call it natural chicken, natural this, natural that, that doesn't mean it's healthy. Notice the doublespeak. God says he's angry with the people. And they say, well, why are you angry with us? And it says, and now we call the proud happy. That's doublespeak. They're really full of pride. That's going to lead to destruction and a fall. But proud people in our generation are called happy people. Wow, they're a happy person. I wish I could be like them. When what you should say, if you weren't fooled with the propaganda, the doublespeak, you would say, wait a minute. These are not happy people. Even if they think they're happy, they're headed for destruction any minute now. Oh, beware, they've entered into the churches. It says in 2 Peter 2, for when they speak great swelling words of vanity. They're swelling because there's nothing there. They're painting a reality that's not there. They allure through the lust of the flesh. Oh, drinking alcohol is beautiful. It's wonderful. You could have a lot of fun taking these drugs, committing adultery, fornication, all of these things that end up with dead babies and diseases and all of these things. No, this is all beautiful. They allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness. Those that were clean escape from them who live in error. They love to go after homeschool kids. They love to go after people that were raised right and lure you and say, oh, you've been restrained. You've missed out on all the fun. Come have some fun. Next thing you see a girl crying and she's like, I can't believe this happened. All I did was go to a party and now my life is just, I feel like it's over. This isn't fun. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. See, what they call liberty is really enslaving you to addiction. Addiction to sin. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought in bondage. Go ahead and drink alcohol. It's liberty. Go get stoned on marijuana. It's your liberty. Do evil things. It's your liberty. It's really good. You're not a Pharisee. Good is evil and evil is good. The Bible predicted in the last days there will be a generation led by the Antichrist spirit and finally the Antichrist himself that's filled with satanic doublespeak right from the Garden of Eden. I'm telling you, this last days generation will have fake food. It'll have fake beauty, and it's going to have fake language. William Lutz wrote a book called Doublespeak many, many decades ago, and he says it's language designed to mislead while pretending not to. Paul says in Romans 16, for they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. Somebody sells you chains, but they call it liberty. They sell you death, but they call it life. They sell you sickness and continual side effects to where you'll have to have surgeries and operations, but the whole time they call it healthy. Medicine. George Orwell in 1946, before he wrote 1984, I believe, he wrote The Politics and the English Language. In our time, political speech and writing are largely the defense of the indefensible, designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable. What do they call baby murder today? Oh, they call it women's health. Women's health. That's doublespeak. How is that healthy for the mother? How is it healthy for the baby? They call it women's rights. What about the rights of the female babies? Doublespeak. And it works. People say, I'm not killing a baby. This is health. This is liberty. This is my right. That's why Romans 16 says, with good words and fair speeches, deceive the hearts of the simple. There's a way to be simple-minded that's not good, folks. You got to learn to think and reason. I just sat down in a library. I didn't go get a college education. I had several years of college through somebody else that went, just so I could rebuke their teachers. But I just sat in seminary libraries and just read and read and read. Doesn't make me smart, but I tell you one thing. I can see a lying sucker. Oftentimes, if they come and try to tell me something about theology, I've read the Bible, I've studied the Bible. None of us are as wise as we think we are. We all have a lot to learn, but I'm telling you, folks, you must learn to read. You must learn to think. You must learn to reason with God. You must take time to practice this. Torture is called enhanced interrogation techniques. Oh, you mean like of the Inquisition? Yeah, they had enhanced interrogation techniques back then. It's language that makes the bad seem good. Now let me give you a quick disclaimer while you still have a little bit of attention left. Because see, hopefully you're used to preaching from the King James Bible that lasts an hour. A little more sometimes. Hopefully you're not already asleep and have your mind drifting away. Let me give you a disclaimer. Paul said the things that have happened unto me have worked for the furtherance of they've fallen out rather for the furtherance of the gospel. Paul sometimes made bad things look good. And that's only because he's saying, I want you to look from God's perspective, because his ways are not our ways. And you got to understand that. Think of what happened to Joseph. What they meant for evil, God was working for good. It says in Zechariah, God says, for who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice. With God and with faith. Little is much. The dark can be rejoicing. God can work out the sad things that happened unto Joseph for good. The Bible's full of that. That's because God is in it. But when man comes and tries to call those things that be not as though they were, he's just deluded. Man is not God. Man's in rebellion. It says in Romans 4, God who quickeneth the dead. When he said, Lazarus sleepeth. and calleth those things which be not as though they were. He said to Abraham, which couldn't have children, you are the father. You are the father of many nations. Abraham says, what do you mean I'm the father of many nations? Abraham had to believe. God calls those things that be not yet as though they were. God sees differently than we see, because His ways are so much higher than ours. It says in Samuel 16, it came to pass when they were come that Samuel, he looked on Eliab and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. There was still one brother that the dad didn't even bring before. He said, go bring your sons. He didn't even bring David. David was so insignificant that he was out with the sheep somewhere. That's the one God chose. God sees things not as man sees. Faith sees God. It sees God's power. It sees His promises and warnings no matter what appearances are before us. It sees God's character. But what these people are doing is something different. It's not faith in God, it's faith in the devil. It's delusion. It's insanity. It's designed to create a reality the government wants you to believe. In that book, 1984, the worst of all heresies was said to be common sense. You are not allowed to have common sense. Whatever the party holds to be truth is truth. It's impossible to see reality except by looking through the eyes of the party. That is, let the experts, let Dr. Fauci tell you what is and what isn't. Let the white coats tell you everything. They're smart people, see. And you need to be like sheep and just do what they say. Julius Caesar of Rome took over Gaul. And he called that brutal and bloody takeover pacifying Gaul. Doublespeak. You're torturing people. You're killing all these people, and this brutal takeover. Oh no, we're just pacifying them. Pacifying them. There was an Englishman that said of the Romans, quoted by Tacitus, a Roman historian, where Rome makes a desert, they call it peace. Just go in, obliterate everything. Oh, look how peaceful everything is now. Well, the Nazis, like the Romans, were masters of doublespeak. Masters. William Lutz edited a book called Beyond 1984 and 1989. He says, language thus becomes the means of control in the world of 1984. They control you this way. In a book in 1999 called Doublespeak Defined, Lutz says doublespeak has become so common in everyday living that we no longer pay any attention to it. You don't notice it. So you go into the store, and it says natural flavors. They're really artificial flavors, but they're called natural flavors. Doublespeak. It's the opposite of what they say it is. If you eat what they call conventional food, much of it is grown, or it's legal to do so, according to the FDA, to be grown in sewer sludge. But don't worry, sewer sludge is now called biosolids. Oh, it's just biosolids. It's regulated organic nutrients. See, this is organic, regulated organic nutrients. The drug addict is called the chemical dependency disorder. He has a chemical dependency disorder. Oh, the psychologists have used doublespeak like crazy for decades, for centuries. It's through the roof. The sodomite became the homosexual. And at first it was a disorder. Then it became an alternate lifestyle. Now it's the normal, ideal lifestyle. Well, we've gone a long way, haven't we? You know what the new word is now? Transgender. Transgender. You know what the old word was? Transvestite. or sodomite. The Bible called it the effeminate. The Bible says, such shall not inherit the kingdom of God. It talks about those that abuse themselves with mankind, but it also has something else, at least in the King James Bible, no other Bible. It says, the effeminate shall not inherit the kingdom of God. That means they get in trouble at the judgment seat of Christ. That means they're going to receive destruction. Effeminate was an old word for cross-dressing. That is, if you're male. But transvestite, that's not a bad word. What word do you see in there? Vest. Clothing. So what is a transvestite? A person with a strong desire to dress in clothing of the opposite sex. Transvestite. Well, we got a lot of transvestites in churches today, don't we? Well, I tell you what, we got a lot of transvestites. You go to Walmart, you see a lot of transvestites, don't you? Man, I tell you, there's transvestites everywhere. Why are you wearing the clothing of the opposite sex? You a transvestite? But now they want to force you into, they say this word's bad. Wikipedia tells you, now listen now, Wikipedia says this is an outdated word. No, that's a bad word. Don't use that anymore. Well, what word do you want to use? Transgender, they say. Oh, no, wait a minute. Transgender forces me into your fake reality. Nobody has been transgendered. Anybody that's female is still female. Anybody that's male, that was born male, is still male. You know a word, you know a phrase that they're saying? A biological male. You hear that all the time today. A biological male. What other kind of male is there? This is some type of doublespeak mess, man. This is a transgender, but no, they're not transgender. They think they are in their delusion, but I'm not going to play again. I'm not going to call a transvestite a transgender on purpose. You understand that? No, they didn't change genders. I don't care how much they deformed themselves and drugged themselves. They might have altered many things. Just go down to a local restaurant and eat your antibiotics and hormones and pesticides. I tell you what, maybe many things will start being changed in you emotionally and physically, but I'm going to tell you what, you're not transgender. Not ultimately. So they want to force you into their fantasy world, and that's why certain words become outlawed. Because you become an offender, Isaiah 29, for a word. Why? Because that very word takes away their agenda. And if they take away your words, if they take away your ability, then they can take away your thoughts. And they think they can control the morality of a nation. Don't you dare say that's not a man. Don't you dare say that's not a woman. Don't you dare misgender somebody. That's a hate crime. The only reason you don't want me misgendering somebody, what you call misgendering, what are you talking? Who's misgendering? You're the one misgendering. You're the one with the insanity. When the Supreme Court announced it would take up a case challenging Roe v. Wade, the baby murderers responded with a bill. You know what they called their bill? The Women's Health Protection Act. A bill that would make baby murder available on demand. Why didn't they call it baby murder? You know, you got some comedians now that are just coming out and telling everybody, oh, you're for baby murder, right? Why don't you just call it what it is? Because that's what comedians often do. They like to just, you know, some of them are deluded as can be, but sometimes even the evil ones can try to bring you to a little bit of reality. How is abortion a woman's health protection? One doctor tells us, for women who have had a surgical abortion, their risk of preterm birth increases by 30%. If they had 2 abortions, it increases by nearly 90%. These women are at increased risk for lasting cervical trauma, placental problems, and postpartum hemorrhage that could put their own lives as well as the lives of their babies at risk. Perhaps most alarming is that the risk of preterm birth and future pregnancy rises 300% for women who need surgical completion of a medicated abortion. Abortion's not healthy for women. It's not healthy for the female babies or for any baby. And it's not healthy for the women having an abortion. But it's become sacred now. They're telling us now that it's not only healthy, it's not only a liberty and a right, it is now sacred. Ooh, talk about doublespeak. Now, Hillary Clinton one time was seen in a picture walking around with the novel 1984 in her hand, as if she was reading it. Just to make you think the Clintons aren't trying to bring in a world government and use doublespeak. But I want you to understand something. The right is often accused of doublespeak by the left. I'll give you a quick example. Here's a sentence. The claim that these dangerous laws and restrictions are pro-woman is not only misleading, but also dangerous and demeaning. It's doublespeak. So if you as a godly person say, I want abortion, I want baby murder to be restricted because that is pro-woman, they say, that's doublespeak. That's not pro-woman. You're taking our rights away. Rights to kill your baby? Rights to do something that is morally corrupt and evil and hurt yourself at the same time? No, that's not doublespeak. Just because you say something's doublespeak, just because Hillary Clinton says something is doublespeak, it's not doublespeak. As Boston Herald, Jonah Goldberg says Hillary Clinton got into a bit of trouble when she told Meet the Press that the unborn person doesn't have constitutional rights. Uh-oh, that was a slip, wasn't it? Oh, really? She said, well, that unborn person doesn't have constitutional rights. We don't got to worry about killing it. There's no constitutional rights there. It's not a person until it's born. Or as Senator Barbara Boxer of California once suggested, until you bring it home from the hospital. Only then is it a person. Until then it's a fetus or uterine contents. Planned Parenthood advises that activists don't say abort a child, preferring to terminate a pregnancy. Don't call it a child. We got to have doublespeak here. But notice with Hillary Clinton, sometimes they mess up, don't they? Sometimes they mess up. Sometimes they accidentally say the wrong thing. So NPR has guidelines for their reporters. Don't use the term abortion clinics, they say. Instead, say medical or health clinics that perform abortions. But you know, even abortion clinic is doublespeak. A clinic's supposed to be somewhere that something good happens, something healthy. That's not an abortion clinic. That's some type of death camp. That's some type of murder facility. That's what that is. That's a murder facility, not an abortion clinic. They say don't use unborn now, whatever you do. That implies that there's a baby inside a pregnant woman. Babies are not babies until they are born. They're fetuses. If you say baby or unborn, you're falling into the strategy of the anti-abortion groups. Washington Times says the left's doublespeak, declaring the word illegal, illegal. This week's Exhibit A in the Academy's rush toward insanity comes from Cornell University, where the school's thought police have just declared the word illegal verbatim if the discussion has to do with those entering our country unlawfully. You can't call those illegals anymore. You can't say that's an illegal alien. Well, what is it? Undocumented worker or something like that. You can't call it illegal. Welcome to the crazy. The crazy land of the ivory tower, where definitions no longer matter, and words like illegal can now be declared illegal. In the fluid lexicon of the rainbow, love now means hate, hate means love, men are women are men. We now live in a Mad Hatter's world where red is a number and 2 + 2 = green. It starts with little things, such as the deconstruction of everyday words, simple words such as green and gay and male and female, Remember, gay used to be happy? But now they call a sodomite happy. They're not happy. I mean, you could just look at studies to see that they are the now they say it's because of you. It's because of you people that are opposed that's making them unhappy and unhealthy. It's not their sick sin. They're gay. Male is female, good is evil, right is wrong. I close with 2 Timothy 1. Hold fast, like in the word fastened, hold fast the form of sound words. Not just the sound words, but the very form of sound words, which thou hast heard of me in faith and love, which is in Christ Jesus. Hold on, brothers and sisters. It's going to get real shaky from here on out. Words become illegal more and more. For you to expose insanity is becoming more and more prohibited around the world, Canada, Europe, even in our own country. Even if you try to teach your children to speak and read properly, it's going to be resisted. Our words are lost. Protect yourself. Protect your loved ones. If you will do one thing, read and write the AV. Sit down. If that's not part of your homeschool, you have absolutely missed it. If you don't have your children sitting down, writing chapters of the Bible, that is the greatest homeschool that you could ever have on the face of this earth, I'm telling you. Write the Bible. Definitely study and memorize the Bible. Definitely read the Bible. Speak it out loud. Read the Bible. Study it. And get a dictionary. The Bible is its own dictionary, but get you a Webster's 1828. Get you a set of Oxford English dictionaries. Get you some 19th century dictionaries, even 18th century dictionaries. Get you Samuel Johnson's dictionary of the English language. Open these things up and read the King James Bible and get you a dictionary right beside you and say, I really don't understand that word. I'm reading it, but I don't know what it means. And look it up elsewhere in the Bible. Look it up in one of these good dictionaries. The dictionaries aren't inspired, but they are very, very helpful. Not a modern dictionary. These older dictionaries. Write letters. Practice writing and reading good books. And don't be ashamed of the Lord's words. Don't be ashamed of the Lord's words. Listen to yourself talk. Speak in sentences whenever you can. When you're having long discussions, say, hey, email me. People will know, hey, just email me, okay? Let's talk through email. I'm not going to sit here with my thumb with little, if something's long, I'm not going to sit here and do that, Dear Holy Father, we thank you. Help us raise up a godly generation. Help us fight the good fight and endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Lord, you said that this would happen in our day and age, and it's here, God. Father, we do pray that we will stand against it, that we will call many to sanity and truth, that we will reprove in the gate, Lord, in the public places, and know that we'll be hated. But Father, our goal is to be on your side and not be a pleaser of man. Now we love you. Come quickly. May we be found righteous. Help us think. Help us be able to read and speak and write. In Jesus' holy name, amen.